before I start, I want to introduce a panelist. So we have Josephine.
Hi.
And we have Edwin.
Hi, everyone.
All right, cool. So my first question I want to ask you guys here is, does all life matter?
Yeah, I believe all lives do matter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Same.
Yeah.
But-
So,
Same.
so don't you think that we talk about Black Lives Matter more than other ethnic groups?
I do agree. However, you need to understand that during this current situation, Black people have been mistreated for a long period of time.
I
about
feel
you?
like, from a personal standpoint, all lives do matter, but Black Lives Matter is something that is the focal point right now.
Yeah.
It's something that is in view right now. It's
Yeah.
something that is pertinent right now.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why we are giving all our attention to it, because it's something that has to be addressed
Yeah.
and it has to be done quickly, because people's lives are being,
Killed.
mistreated,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
people's lives are being like altered in ways. You find kids scared to their bones, and you find people just shaken because of things that happen, and it all pertains to what we are discussing here, and the things that we are protesting and everything that we're doing. We just want to bring our message across that our lives do matter, and people need to start respecting it and putting
Adding value.
value in it.
Because it's like they don't care about our life. It's like Black people, our value isn't as much as a white man's value. Do you know what I mean? And at the end of the day, we're all human.
Yeah.
We all have blood. We're not different. The only difference is actually the color of our skin.
Yeah.
And that shouldn't be the issue.
Just to add on as well, I feel like with this year, like every life does matter, but in a sense where Black people are the one who's getting hurt more. And even though like we might say, oh cool, this ethnic group is going through that, yeah, we want to raise an awareness, because this has been over 400 years and it's still going on right now. And so we want to raise an awareness of how we can prevent it from happening.
Again.
And so that our generation or the children that we have don't come and experience the same thing, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So I want to ask you guys another question. So what are the ways that we can tackle like racism? What are the areas, or what things can we do to tackle racism?
Wow, that's a broad question.
So in terms, what I mean by that is that, so what do we need to implement into our, let's say, our school systems?
Definitely education.
Okay, yeah.
In a sense where when you go to school, you're not taught about Black people.
Yeah.
Like in my school, we did get taught about slavery, but our teacher didn't really want to go in depth.
Yeah.
Like they just made it seem like the British benefited from slavery.
Yeah.
Like the vocal point wasn't actually that Black people were hurt and they were taken, but it was more of, it was a profit thing, a monetary gain.
Yeah.
And we do not get to, they don't teach us about Black people who who are successful.
Yeah.
We only see white people that are successful. And introducing other ethnic minorities who are successful in their different fields will help it will help young people and everyone understand that, anybody can make it. It's not just a white man. Because I believe when you go to schools and they teach like white figureheads that they've made it, it makes it kind of seem like white people are here and Black people are here. Like you don't really look up and see, I can do that, because they don't show that.
Yeah, it's true.
And education about like everyone is equal, and at the end of the day, also love. Love needs to be really rooted within one another.
Yeah, it's true.
Because all what's going on is sin. And remember, we're all made in the image of God.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah, that's true.
We're not different because you're blue or you're white or you're pink. We're not different.
Yeah.
We are all made in the image of God, and that comes with love.
Yeah, that's true.
Everyone needs to understand what love is.
Yeah.
How to love your neighbor, because clearly we're not really loving our neighbor.
Yeah, it's true. Well, Edwin, what have you got to say about it as well?
I feel like there should be more diversity in the schools.
Yeah.
I'm talking like with the schools, there should be more diversity. People should bring their awards to school. Like there should be people of all colors or races and religion, whatever affiliation. Like we should put all those people together and teach them under one roof. And I feel like that is something that goes a long way. And the kids, as they are growing up, they see that this guy is Black, but it doesn't really come into mind that the color of their skin can cause them to it's something that's psychological that happens
Yeah,
in
yeah,
the
yeah,
kid's
it's true, yeah,
mind
it's
true.
if you put him under one roof with, he sees the person as an equal, doesn't see the person as
Yeah.
a
that's
slave or someone who's that's under him or something
Yeah,
like
it's
that.
true,
So there should be more diversity in the churches, not even only the churches.
Mm.
There should be diversity in local clubs. There should be diversity at workplaces. There should be diversity in churches everywhere.
Yeah, it's true.
We should eliminate that gap or that hedge that we've put around ourselves, that there are black communities here and there are white communities there, and it's like there's been a segregation of some kind.
Yeah, it's true.
And we should eliminate all traces of that, because if we don't, this is gonna go on for long, and people are gonna be like, "Oh, I belong to this group, or I belong to that group." So diversity is something that we should really work on.
Yeah.
If we
You know
want
what?
to.
I do agree with you. However, with the whole communities section, it's a bit, because in a sense where there's a Jewish community, there's the Asian community, there's a black community, you can say there's a white community, and there's nothing wrong being in a community, but it's how these people identify who they are.
Yeah, I think
And I'm not saying that we should get rid of it, because no, this is a Jewish person could say, this is my identity, this is the community I belong to, this is how they're familiar with. Do you know what I mean? However, what I also believe that we need to tackle is also stereotypes.
Yeah.
And we need to really tackle these stereotypes from the beginning, from the root, with the young people, like children, because this is how it starts growing. Children are not born racist.
Yeah,
they're taught it.
Yeah, you're taught it.
And if your mum's telling you, "Oh, Reuben, don't go and play with this white person," you're thinking there's something wrong with white people.
Yeah, it's true.
We've really got to tackle. We could all talk about our experiences of racism in the school. And it may not be literally, directly somebody calling you the N-word, but it may have happened to you really unconsciously. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, it's true.
From a white counterpart.
Yeah, it's true. And what I want to say about that is that, like, racism, the thing that I feel like people like misjudge racism is that racism is actually not a physical thing, it's a mentality. A mentality, the way you approach a mentality is not by doing physical actions, but it's actually by retraining your mind. And that's why the Bible talks about do not conform to this pattern of this world, but be transformed by the renewal of your mind. So if you basically want to tackle racism, you have to basically go to the person's mind and try and transform that person's mind.
Exactly.
So once you get to that person's mind, then you can get to that person's life, because remember, your thoughts runs your life. Whatever you think becomes your life.
Actions,
so I feel like what schools should, or the government should do, is that they should put curriculums. You know how we have like when you have history, we have like white. What would we white history culture? Like probably we learn about primary schools. We learn about Henry VIII, and secondary schools we learn about we learn about like the Cold War,
World War
Hitler.
I II,
I feel like what they should implement is black slave how black people were slaves and how it impacts society. Because once we know our roots here, then we know what to do about it. Because once you know the history of what your ancestors went through, then you know how to tackle it. If that makes sense. So it's by if you wanna basically bring change there, but it first starts with the mentality that we think, and once we retrain our thinking, then it will become good. Then we can actually step out and move forward. Yeah, move forward.
Because even like now, the foundations that the UK were built on, in sense of like, but like the foundation of like Great Britain was basically by slavery. And hard work that black people committed when they were here, especially like the Windrush generation. They came here to really rebuild Great Britain after World War II. But look how they're being treated, and it's all because of literally the foundations of the UK and the Great Britain. Because if these foundations were established in love and in diversity, we wouldn't be seeing the manifestation of what's going on now.
That's true. That's true.
But it's because I feel like the UK, like even with government, if you go to Parliament and you say, okay, I want to look at all the MPs, you'll probably see like at least 5 MPs that are black out of how many?
It's true.
It's ridiculous. And why is it like that? Do you know what I'm trying to say? Why is it when you go to high corporate places, you barely see any black people? Like, what is really going on?
It's true.
It's like, as you said, it's a mindset. It's a system. And I'm not someone to say, oh, the system's against me. Yes, the system is against black people. But
it is.
As black people, we also need to take the initiative and educate ourselves so we can get to the next step.
It's
because
true.
in scripture, God says, my people perish because of a lack of
Yeah,
knowledge.
it's true,
There's
it's true.
things that we also do not know. We ask white people to educate themselves, but we also need to educate
Yeah, it's
ourselves.
definitely,
Look how
definitely.
many fatherless fathers in our community. We need to address the issues in our community.
Yeah.
As well as the issues that are going on that are affecting us in the world.
With that, yeah, do you guys think if we protest more longer, do you think change would have come?
Do you want to go first? Or?
Do you want to go first?
All right,
Who do you wanna go first?
ladies first, innit? Ladies first.
Okay.
Or
No.
I'll give her the mandate.
No,
Alright,
because
cool.
I've been talking first.
all right, cool,
so-
cool. Yeah, go on then.
Okay. The issue of protests. Yeah. I think the issue is not with the length of the protest, but with the message that we're getting across.
Yeah.
That's right.
Because bear in mind that we're in a pandemic and like there's a lot of protocols that have been set aside and put in place for us to follow. And
Yeah.
these protests are like, they are causing these things to be broken and
Yeah.
everything. So we should keep in mind and stay safe. You get
Yeah,
me?
yeah.
Until all of this is behind us. But with the issue of protests, the problem I have with it is the violence that comes with it,
Okay.
the looting and
Yeah.
all that. To the extent that we are looting our own black communities,
Yeah, it's true.
and the repercussions are gonna come and affect us after the protest. You get me? I'm not saying don't protest. I'm not saying don't go out and show love and show support. Do it with all the love, all the strength that you have. But with the looting and with the violence that accompanies it, and people are being pepper sprayed and rubber bullets are being thrown out in tear gases and people are being physically hurt, assaulted, lives are being changed. You know, imagine your life being changed with just one protest you attend.
Yeah, it's true.
So people need to be safe whilst protesting, and I think the violence is really not needed.
Sorry, I actually did attend one of the protests.
Sorry, I wanted you to talk about that as well. I was gonna get you to talk about. Go on. So you go.
So I did attend one of the protests, and it actually wasn't violent. Like it was actually really peaceful. Everyone was just, chanting, "No justice, no peace."
Yeah.
Just chanting like people that have died, like George Floyd, Benny Majinga. It wasn't necessarily violent. There was a lot of police, of course, for protocol, but it was very peaceful. Initially, what I got from the protest is that I could be wrong, but it's not that I'm wrong. It's my own opinion from what I got.
Yeah.
I believe there wasn't really a clear direction.
Okay.
Because in a sense, we're protesting. This is nice.
Yeah.
This is another form of trying to get the government to listen. But we've been protesting. We've been doing so much for so many years.
Yeah.
The government are still not listening. We need to educate ourselves. The community needs to educate themselves and really put themselves in places where we can infiltrate change.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Because us staying at home, I'm not saying working class jobs are rubbish, because if I see somebody, a black woman in a high position, I know I can make it because I see somebody like that.
Yeah, it's true.
But we don't have many figureheads,
role models
that are in places that we can look up to, apart from football, rapping.
Or athlete or something like that. One more thing that I wanted to say is that with the protesting thing, I remember I must have saw a video on Snapchat, and it was mad because I thought about it, I watched it, and it was a person, they were basically dancing like in front of like a protest, and I was like, is this a motive or is this is this meant to be a movement, but it turned into a motive? And I was like, even though cool, it's fun, like okay, cool, get your energy done, whatever you call it, but this is like a serious issue, that we shouldn't be joking around with it. And it's like the government will just look at us, if he saw that on probably like TV or television or news, he would probably looked at that and just laughed at us. And I feel like we just need to get serious. Like I know it's not all of us here, but majority of us here or some of us here like need to basically step into like reality in a sense where we're not doing it because of like it's a trend. We're doing it because of a change.
Yeah.
And I remember one thing I want to say is that Martin Luther King, that's why I feel like protesting is very good. It's very good in a sense because Martin Luther King, must have marched for 381 days. He did not stop. He did not stop until
there was change.
Until there was change. 381 days. And based on that protest is when the government heard him. And so I feel like if we want to bring change we have to be committed to the act. We can't just be doing it for 1 day or 3 days and just stop. It has to be consistent. And I feel like, and what's going on is that like the protest was good for up to the 3 weeks then it just stopped. So the government is going to look at us and say like what are these people doing? But if we kept doing it and we were doing it continuously, like in a peaceful way, then we would have brought change. And even I feel like change comes by being committed to something. So if you're not committed to something, then you're not gonna bring change.
You have to be consistent.
Yeah, you have to be consistent as well. You have
Even
to
like with sorry to interrupt you,
No,
like
it's
even with the gay LGBT whole movement, they've been consistent for days.
Yeah,
like,
years,
they've
years
been
in it.
for years. And that's how they slowly change people's opinions about gay and lesbians and so forth and so forth, because they've been on their ball. Like they're trying to get across, like, listen, what we equal, gay, lesbians and lesbians can meet. Like they've been on it and they've been committed, and that's what has actually caused a lot of change. And that's why now they're able to get married again, because they're kissing in public, because everything is fine for them.
Exactly, it's true.
And it's like with Black Lives Matter, even with the whole movement, it's like we only jump on when somebody dies because of somebody's
trend.
Of a trend. It's like we're not doing it because it every day, but we're just doing it when it's convenient.
And I feel like one thing that's impacted is because of the COVID-19, innit?
Yeah.
Everyone has been staying at home, so when that thing just came up, or the Black Lives Matter just came up here, it just came as a motive. Like everyone just got on board and just started marching. Even people who wasn't on it just started doing it because of like they've been bored at home and they need something to do. And so I'm not saying that you shouldn't go and protest or you shouldn't like bring do something to bring change, but I'm saying that when you're doing it, like think about who you're trying to do, like, because it's gonna impact other generations as well. Definitely. It's not just your generation or our generation. It's gonna impact other generations as well. So what I just want to say is that, like, if we're doing it, let's do it for a cause. Like, we're thinking about it for the future. We're not thinking about it now or this present moment, because we'll go through stuff, and like sometimes we get we'll like, even though this country is equal, we don't get treated the same. Because I remember I must have been walking down my street, and all I just see is that a police car just pulled up in it, and they were basically following me because I had a hoodie on. I think I had like tracksuit on, and I was walking to the shops here. They must have pulled up, and they must have been looking at me weird. And I was thinking that if this was a white person, they wouldn't be doing this. Yeah. And because I'm black, they're doing. I'm not saying all police are racist. Everyone, like, I've spoken to the majority of police people, and they are calm. That they're very nice people. But what I'm trying to say is that they have a mentality, and that's what I'm basically going to say.
The stereotypes.
Yeah, the stereotype. And that's what I'm basically going to say is that if we want to bring change, it first starts with the mentality. Yeah. So there has to be like program like made so that racism can be prevented, or can be an issue where we discuss, so that it can bring change, if that makes sense.
But like, we also need to understand that nowhere is perfect.
Yeah, it's true.
And I'm not saying because it's not perfect we should allow racism, but there are gonna still be racist people. And I believe as Christians, there's a way we need to deal with this. And not in anger, say, oh, you're racist. But with love. Love combats everything.
Yeah, it covers everything.
And there's a way that we need to approach it. And I think even us, and in the future, and speaking to our children, we need to let them know, listen, there's going to be a few racist people out there, but this is the best way, or this is the right way to deal with it. Because you can't really... the protesting is nice, but there's still going to be racist people. It's just how we're going to deal with it, and also prevent things such as George Floyd's death and police brutality. Things like that really need to be tackled within the police force and within the government, to be honest.
Thank you guys for joining me, and join us every Saturday at 6 p.m. Don't forget to subscribe, leave a like, and leave a comment. Thank you guys.
Thank you.